Hello, and welcome back to this week's Sabbath School Nugget. First, I want to say thank you to Seth for sharing his insightful thoughts last week regarding Jesus, the mediator of the new covenant. This week, our focus shifts to Jesus, the perfect sacrifice, and I am so looking forward to digging into this week's study. Again, we're going to touch a little bit on Sabbath's lesson, and then we're going to shift our attention to Sunday. Our memory text for this week comes from Hebrews 10 and 14. For by one offering he has perfected forever those who are being sanctified. Sabbath's lesson starts out with this idea. Who in the world would worship somebody who died on a cross? Think about this from a Roman or Greek perspective. They had gods of thunder and lightning. They had gods of war and battle, gods who could strike you down with lightning bolts and plagues. You didn't dare offend the gods because of what they would do to you if you upset them. The gods were untouchable because they were all-powerful. And yet, here we have a God who suffered the greatest offense imaginable, and in return, forgives those who offended him. He actually dies to save them. What kind of God would allow you to punch them in the face, whip them so hard you tore the flesh off their bones, and if that wasn't enough, you shoved a crown of thorns on their head, and then you nailed them to a cross? There was no greater symbol of defeat or shame than the cross. No Roman or Greek god would suffer such an insult, but Jesus did. As a matter of fact, the emblem of the early Christian church was the symbol of greatest offense, the cross. To the Jews, it was a stumbling block, and to the Greeks and Romans, foolishness. But to us, the cross, it is the power of God for salvation. Sunday's lesson asks an important question. Why were sacrifices needed? This actually takes us back to last week's lesson. As Seth pointed out, Jesus is the mediator of a much better covenant. Now, a covenant involves two parties. One party has a need, and the other party can supply that need. The role of the mediator was to bring these two parties together for the mutual benefit of both. Now, once an agreement was reached, a sacrifice was made, and the terms of the covenant were stated. I'll do this and you do that, and then the covenant usually concluded with these words. May what was done to this sacrifice be done to me, should I break my part of the agreement. The problem was, Israel continually broke their part of the agreement, and the penalty according to the covenant was death. So what's a God to do? And that is what the rest of this week's study is all about. Well, that's today's nugget. Thank you for joining us and being a part of our study. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.